Let's just kick it off with that. We all need a little reality check and leave it to special counsel Jack Smith for the House Special Committee. 5-minute questions. Got the Republicans with all of their talking points. What about Cassidy Hutchinson? Did she really know about the Trump commandeering the beast? I don't like that my records were looked at by the well, then maybe you shouldn't have had close contact with the administration and Jan Sixers to try to delay the certification of the election. You know, I mean, Jack Smith didn't commit the crimes. He didn't pick the people. He didn't pick the coup plotters. He didn't pick the Congress people and senators. They picked themselves. He's just a prosecutor. He's just a country prosecutor. Like, are you kidding me? The more you watch Jack Smith, the more you have hope in this world that there are just and right, patriotic civil servants, public servants still out there waiting to return to power and in the wings. Who doesn't want Jack Smith to be Attorney General when a Democrat returns to office in 2028? Put it here. Seriously, I would love that. I've seen all sorts of things. Popok for AG, forget it. Glenn Kirshner, no, he'll start everything with friends, justice matters every time he does a press conference. I love Glenn. I'm kidding. Jack Smith. He's the lawyer's lawyer, a prosecutor's prosecutor. And he's kicking ass. Because it's easy to kick ass when you got the law and the facts on your side and you're dispassionate in your presentation of why you went after a criminal president. You know, his opening statement was strong. I'll be doing hot takes along the way as soon as I get my hands on all the clips and I watch the complete thing. We have it up on Legal AF YouTube channel right now for your listening and watching pleasure. Isn't it great to see him in real time? Not the deposition from December 3rd. We got after the fact, that grainy thing. But this is good stuff. Jamie Raskin, ready to go. And yes, let's see, Kenny G. I don't think it's that Kenny G or Kerry G. Sorry, I was going to compliment your playing. Yeah, everybody's grandstanding on the Republican side because they have to distract from Jack Smith. But he's like what they used to say about Johnny Cash. He's like a locomotive. He's just sharp and powerful and unstoppable because he's got right and might on his side. It's nothing to lose. He's not currently a prosecutor. Come back, Popok, we miss you. Where was I? Where did I go? Where was I that I have to come back from? Yes, apparently he's a triathlete, some sort of runner. Jamie Raskin started off his thing all about that. Boston's in the house. Portland, Oregon's here. I have no visual of me. Can you guys see me? Hello. Put a thumbs up if you can see me. Give me a heart if you can see me. I think people can see me. People get knocked off. Oh, I cut out for a second. That was the comeback. Oh, that's Substack. That's not up to me. I see. We're back. We're in this little box, but we're back. Thanks for being here. Got a lot to talk about. Jack Smith first among it. New reporting as I came on the air that Don Lemon may or may not have a criminal complaint sworn out against him for protesting in that church in Minnesota. We had some reporting that he was definitely going to be indicted or had been not indicted, but a criminal complaint sworn out against him, which is different. Means no grand jury. Means you have to get a federal magistrate to sign off on it. There was some reporting that a federal magistrate refused to sign off on it. Then they found a federal magistrate, but now all the social media posts are down about Don Lemon being indicted. He got warned a couple of days ago. Harmeet Dillon, who I've got my own history with, who is running into the ground in disgrace, and she should be ashamed of herself. The Civil Rights Division. I can't even put the concept of Harmeet Dillon and the Civil Rights Division in the same sentence. A political hack of the first order. Her consolation prize for not getting the Attorney General position, which she really wanted, by not getting even the Republican National Committee chairmanship, which she really wanted. They said, hey, We want somebody to put the Civil Rights Division out of business. You look like you'd be able to do that. Go ahead. Remember, within the first month of her arrival, everybody with any professionalism, public service ethos, dignity left. Like more than half of the department left because she basically said, we're going to use civil rights law against the people for whom the civil rights laws in the 14th, 15th, and 16th Amendment were created. Yeah. She's the beauty who said a week ago that the Civil Rights Division is not going to be investigating Jonathan Ross, who shot Renee Good based on a new private autopsy released today in the head, in the arm, and in the breast, as she was innocently protesting and trying to drive away without having an altercation. She's that person. Yeah, she already they made their decision. They were going to, it was self-preservation, it was self-defense. No, it was improper use of force. You should be ashamed of yourself to say you're not going to investigate. We didn't say prosecute, we said investigate, transparently. So now Harmeet Dillon comes out against Don Lemon. And I guess, do I have to disclose that I know Don? I know Don. I went to a wedding where Don sat next to me. I like Don. I like the work that he does in independent media. And a lot of us go over. I got Dina Dahl on here. I think Dina's going to tell me in a note whether I think Don was going to do a live right now. But it's a little bit muddled reporting. I'm waiting to figure out from people on the ground in Minnesota whether there is a criminal complaint. It starts with the criminal complaint. That gets you arrested and arraigned. Then there's a grand jury that has to come forward of his peers to determine whether he and the other protesters, who I think went to the ICE church because the pastor is involved with ICE. So they're all like, you saw all these Fox MAGA people like, oh, the church, not the church. They got no problem picking up 5-year-olds, using them as bait in Minnesota to go get people out of a house to deport them. 5-year-old, 10-year-olds. They have no problem picking up migrants coming in and out of churches and raiding churches, factories, schools, and the like. But God forbid there's a protest against a person that says they're a man of the cloth and of God, but is also working on the most inhumane, immoral set of ICE policies around. We have a new secret memo that's not a secret anymore, got released by 2 whistleblower insiders who are still in ICE. We pray for your safety because the Trump administration is going to try to find them. A mole hunt looking for the 2 in ICE who released the September 2025 memo by the acting director of ICE telling his agents, you don't need a federal court, a federal judge or magistrate under Article 3 of the judicial branch to issue an arrest warrant if you're going to go through somebody's front door of their home, their castle keep, the curtilage of their house, which even the Supreme Court believes is sacrosanct, that you need a federal judge's arrest warrant to do that, to break through a door and take somebody out. Nope. Trump's lawyers in the Department of Homeland Security told Trump immigration judges, because the judges in immigration court are not Article 3 judicial judges. They are DOJ Trump-controlled judges. I know it's confusing. They don't work in the judicial branch. They work in the executive branch. So executive branch judges, right, and executive branch Trump-controlled ICE agents, based on a memo from a Trump-controlled lawyer, said, hey, you know what? We don't need to recognize the Fourth Amendment any longer. You don't need to get a federal court magistrate judge, independent, dispassionate, neutral, to issue your arrest warrant, or a federal judge. It's okay. A Trump judge can give you an arrest warrant. You can use it to break down a door and go grab anybody inside. That's a violation of the Fourth Amendment. That's a violation of cases like Pryor versus New York, going back to 1980, about the Supreme Court, who has said time and time again that among the 10 amendments that make up our Bill of Rights, they think the most important is the Fourth Amendment against illegal search and seizure. I would say the First Amendment, but at least it's in the top two. So that memo got disclosed to now members of Congress who are Democrats. There's a whistleblower group called Whistleblower Aid, who was like WikiLeaks, but not doing things illegal. And they gave that to Congress. Now there's going to be lawsuits over that policy, which is obviously on full display. Kick down a door with an administrative Trump judge warrant? Are you kidding me? And just to put this in perspective, you may remember that Hannah Dugan is I don't know if she hasn't been sentenced yet, is now a convicted state court judge in Milwaukee because the administrative arrest warrant, the case law has said you can use it, but you got to use it in public. You can't use it at a house, because the Constitution and the Supreme Court puts a lot of protections around one's castle keep, one's home. Even if you're a migrant, pardon me, folks, even if you're a migrant, undocumented status or whatever. So that's why Hannah got in trouble, because they were trying to use, even though it was in a courthouse, in the public, this administrative judge thing to pick up somebody in her courtroom and out of their home, not with a piece of paper issued by a Trump judge. That's why we have a separation of powers, right? That's why we have three co-equal branches. That's what the federal judicial branch is supposed to do. It's always confusing for people who are not from the United States. And I agree, and I know why it's confusing. When I tell people that the Department of Justice is part of the executive branch, they're like, what do you mean? Why isn't it part of the judicial branch? Because we wanted to separate them. So we put the prosecutor on the executive side, and we put the judges on the judicial side in terms of for oversight and for checks and balance. Now, the administrative law judges that work for immigration under the Immigration and Naturalization Act, they're like a weird, not even a hybrid. They're Trump judges, even though they have the title judge, that work for the under the Department of Justice in Trump. And they issue orders in the immigration world. So I think this new, pardon me, folks, I think this new memo that's now leaked out is going to lead to a series of lawsuits by like the ACLU and Democracy Forward to stop the use of this order to take away people in their homes with administrative judges. Let's see. Laura says she bought a Glenn Kirshner hoodie. Why aren't you buying Popok hoodies? Oh, aren't there Popok t-shirts? Nuremberg 2.0, Kathleen Hamlin. Oh, I totally agree with that. I can't wait to see Carolyn Levitt in a plexiglass box with a headphone. Yes. We need trials. We got to put these people on trial. And I'm not vindictive. It's not about like what Donald Trump's always talking about. It's not about retribution. The day is coming. No, justice is here already. The new Department of Justice, new Congress, impeachment proceedings. You're seeing the beginning of it now, right? The Trump administration completely out of gas. Donald Trump thinks he's going to come home triumphantly from Davos, like some coronation. Did anybody see him? He can barely put a sentence together. He can barely walk. When he went side profile, he looked just corpulent and obese and out of it. His voice was faltering, and he got his ass handed to him, coming home a shrunken, defeated president about things like Greenland, and the peace board with people like Putin on it, spending $1 billion to go run Gaza. Greenland, he got everything that's in the 1952 agreement and nothing more. Hey, I get to have control over military bases in Greenland. Yeah. 1952. Yeah. Truman or Eisenhower, I forget which. Says you can do it, even as updated in 2004. So he got exactly little parcels of Greenland, little morsels that are exactly what he would have gotten anyway, and declared victory. Yeah, I did it. No tariffs, right? Dropped all those allegations and all of that. So let me run before I bring in Dina Dahl. Dina, put in notes here. Are you still here? Did Don go live? Should I check? It's hard for me to when I'm on the air, it's hard for me to check. Um, so on Don Lemon, Josh Gerstein, who we like, says the following just a minute ago. I took down the post because while Lemon's name appeared a short time ago in a court record as one of 8 defendants in the church protest case, I'm told a magistrate judge rejected the charge against him. The docket entry is now gone. So it looks like Don didn't get a criminal complaint against him, which was one way to get indicted. Subject to yeah. So we're gonna have to keep following it. Maybe we'll get Don on here. Don, I'll interview you. We should invite him. Should we invite him? Uh, so that's what's going on there. Let me bring on Dina. We can talk about a bunch of things while I've got you for my twice daily lives. Thank you for being here. By the way, while you're here, now's the time, man. You just saw the Washington Post reporter have the entirety of her electronic life, including all of her confidential informants and all her sources, gathered up in an execution of a search warrant raid at her house. And now a magistrate judge has blocked all of that. Now is the time to support independent media. You guys joked that you couldn't see me a couple of minutes ago. You may not see me at all if at the rate we're going. So independent media lives on Substack. Become a member. You get to comment on the side. You get this video when it's up. If you want to really give us the resources to grow and meet the moment, become a paid member. I think it's annual. It's like $6 or $7 a month. Now's the time to do it. Go click and find out. And then, of course, we've got the Legal AF YouTube as well. All right, let me bring in Dina. This is easier said than done. Oh, I almost brought in Michael Cohen. Oops. Oopsie. Okay, let me bring in Dina. And while I'm bringing in Dina, I will look at some questions. Julie says, see if her snotty attitude will hold when she's in custody. Which one are you referring to? Pam Bondi, Harmeet Dillon, and or Carolyn Levitt? It's one of them. Just had a great interview with Governor Josh Shapiro. He's so great. It's up on YouTube this morning with me. I interviewed him yesterday. I really loved him in so many ways. When you close your eyes, he does sound like Barack Obama. He really does. There's a joke about that I won't make. But I really, he's just so smart and so devoted to public service. Would be such a great leader for this country and for Pennsylvania, but maybe even beyond. Steph Meyer says she wants a Popok hoodie. I'm going to talk to Jordy. He's in charge of merch. We should have some Popok merch, no? Years ago, Ben would joke when we first started doing the podcast together. Ben Mysalis would say a version of, break it down for us, Popok. Give us that Popokian analysis. Oh, here comes Dina. There's a joke off the Popokian analysis. So there's a whole group of people. Hey, Dina.
Hello.
We're bringing you in. What happened? Don Lemon didn't want you on?
Well, we may still go live. We'll see. I think
right.
he has a busy morning.
Tell Don to come over here. Talk to this audience. I'm going to get 1,000. Everybody go get a friend. Let's get to 2,000 and then I'll just click on Don and bring Don in.
Good idea.
I know Don. All right. So Dina Dahl, for those that don't know Dina Dahl, close friend of mine, contributor to Midas Touch, contributor to Legal AF, and my co-anchor on Unprecedented, our new podcast up on audio podcasts, wherever you can find it, about the United States Supreme Court. And we have our new show that'll be going up probably, I think, tomorrow about it, about what we just watched. There's a gun case we need to talk about. There's the Lisa Cook United States Supreme Court case to talk about. All sorts of things on Unprecedented. Also, you have a show for those that say, she seems so familiar. She looks familiar. You have a show, an Access Hollywood adjunct show about true crime, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, we break down true crime cases and I it's like true crime outside the White House, I like to say, because you and I and everybody else along with us is definitely living through like a true crime mania right now.
Right, right, right. We're watching true crime,
We're
right?
watching true crime. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I got my start with legal analyst was true crime. And so it's great. It's great being in a studio, kind of getting out of my little box here.
Yeah,
But yeah, definitely for those who haven't checked out our
podcast.
podcast, we love doing it. We love doing it. Check it out. Give us feedback. We want to keep, giving everybody the breakdowns of the Supreme Court we need. But yeah, I know that you were talking a little bit before about on your Substack Live about the murder of Renee Good, but true crime there. I feel like I followed the Derek Chauvin trial. I
Yeah,
followed the Kim Porter trial, the police officer who killed a man thinking that she pulled out a taser but pulled out a gun. I can't think. I mean, there's a reason why they're not going to the feds want to block this investigation because this would be an extremely easy conviction from a jury. I have watched countless trials, long crime court TV. I can't think of anything that is. I mean, his second and third shot and what he said afterwards, calling her,
um,
a fucking bitch.
yeah,
That there's no way you get past that. That
uh,
video would be shown over and over and over, and
yeah.
yeah.
And here we just had through Adam Klasfeld, who's also with us over on Legal AF, Renee Good's family lawyer talking about what
Mhm.
he's gonna do next, and this is you can tell this is low tech. I'm gonna play this off my phone for the
Oh,
audience here.
cool.
Hold on a second. On a clip. Let me get it up here.
Happens in every
Hold on.
and I think what you just described was what happens in every case, but this is not every case. More than not cooperating, it seems like we have the federal government actively obstructing. What have been some of the unique challenges of investigating a case when the federal government has access to certain evidence that they're not sharing with the state?
Well, let's just pick one piece of evidence for right now. There are many, but let's pick one that's a little obvious in this case, and that's the vehicle. Right? Renee was driving a car, and we know that the ICE officer, Jonathan Ross, shot his gun through the car, at least through the windshield, and possibly through an open window. That car then becomes evidence. Well, very likely there are either some bullet fragments or bullets themselves that are inside the vehicle. There may be shell casings that wound up inside the vehicle. There may be other pieces of evidence inside that vehicle. We have asked the federal government, we gave them what's called a letter of preservation last week. We asked them to preserve that vehicle to make sure that it's stored in a safe manner so that none of the evidence gets altered, modified,
Mhm.
destroyed, or spoiled if there's any testing.
That's Renee Good's family, the family's lawyer. The civil plaintiffs' lawyers here are
Mhm.
working overtime on this case. Keith Ellison, the attorney general, who's himself the subject of some criminal subpoenas, he's working overtime. He's the prosecutor.
Mhm.
Derek Chauvin originally when he crushed the life out of George Floyd. So, a lot.
Yeah, and murder doesn't have a statute of limitations. When I put my analysis about how I thought a lot of the circulating talk about the first shot maybe was justified and the second and third shot weren't, and I was like, that's not how juries work.
Yeah,
You use the evidence of the second and third shot in the fucking bitch to show state of mind for the
right.
entire encounter, right? They don't parse through like, oh, the
Yeah.
defendant lied to me half the time on the stand. Like that doesn't work. They just lied. So but there is no, and so people were asking in the comments, because I always do like hearing comments because it's like interesting to hear what people think. And they always were like, well, do you think this is going to go to trial? Right. And there is no statute of limitations for murder. I personally think that he should be brought, I honestly, I think he should be getting arrested right now from the the local law enforcement. It boggles my mind that they haven't tried to arrest him.
Well,
And
he
I
well,
get there's
but
federalism
wait,
issues.
I'll
Yeah.
answer the question. You talking about state arrest?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the Keith's not ready. I mean, Keith said he's still working his investigation. They're not ready to, he says, if the facts lead
Yeah.
him to indict, he will indict. But as of, I just had him on 2 days ago. They're not,
What about the local? What about the local DA? I mean, here's the thing, but okay,
yeah, they will.
let's step back here for a second. If this were anybody else, are you trying to tell me that the facts wouldn't lead to his arrest right now? Like, I understand that this is politically charged, but we can't treat them above the law. They may be acting above the law, but the moment we treat them with any special deference, then we're doing it.
But arrests for what purpose? I mean, then bail him out on what? On charges or probable cause?
Yeah, I mean, why not arrest him for murder? I don't.
Yeah,
Why not?
but
Yeah.
that's the prosecutors, and Keith's not ready. I mean, he's not going to. He didn't arrest Chauvin right away either, by the way. So I'm not that shocked at that. Guy's not going anywhere. I mean, if somebody said, "Did he leave the country?" I doubt it. But
Well, even if he did, we have
yeah,
extradition. I mean,
right.
he can't hide, and I'm totally fine with Keith Ellison, especially since you know him now, and you're going to vouch for his
Yeah,
credibility.
yeah.
Your BFFs, Popok.
He could be
That
governor of the
I
state one
can be
day.
patient. I can be
Yeah.
a little bit patient, but I do think that some of the protests on the street, people would feel less like they need to protest if they felt like justice was happening. And so it is not just a matter of, are we going to escalate the situation if we arrest him? But you are also escalating the situation when people feel like justice is not, being done. So
Yeah, yeah.
there's something about that too, which I think is
Listen, your
justified.
visceral reaction,
Yeah.
I don't want to invalidate. I agree. I would like to go get a lynch mob and go get the guy, but that's another, the wild, wild west. We would do that. I think when Keith's ready, he's shown that he has the courage to go up against the federal government and drag a federal officer. And then we'll have a whole fight about which court it should be in, and should it be a federal court and federal officer removal? And we'll have a whole fight over that. But justice needs to be done. We know that Harmeet Dillon's not going to do it. Harmeet Dillon's busy going after Don Lemon, and going after church protesters because they don't like the First Amendment expression. Nobody was injured in that protest. Nobody the parishioners were disrupted. I mean, that's where the marketplace of ideas are. It shouldn't have a pastor that cooperates with ICE and tries to put away people instead of
And
doing.
that's what I'm saying. Like, we can't just complain about the other side. We have to act bigger and bolder and swifter. So if anyone's hearing me out there, I mean, it's time they can't play in the gray and we play within the lines. Like, it just can't happen that way anymore.
Yeah.
If they feel like there's going to be, and there will be a true fight over whether or not it is legal for the state to prosecute murder because he's a federal officer. It would probably end up in the Supreme Court, and you and I may discuss it very well on our Unprecedented. But let it go there. Trump doesn't say, well, I can't fire the head of the FTC because the law has been like that for 80 years. We can't constrain our own hands. Do the thing. If the law, which it is vague here, let the law stop us. But when we preemptively stop it, we just give them a pass, and we can't afford to give them a pass anymore.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you. Lord knows I don't give him a pass.
No, I know. I'm not really speaking to you. I'm just speaking. I'm voicing frustrations that honestly, I think a lot of other people are feeling too. And yes, John said absolutely right, Dina. See, there's some people here out there agreeing with, we're getting tired of this for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree. I never heard you curse before, by the way. That was the first time I ever heard you.
Well, I think I was quoting.
I know you were.
Yeah, I know. I'm definitely like that. I worked at a big law firm, and I just, I don't just casually curse. I don't know if it was my upbringing, my professionalism, and my thing, but I don't. Yeah, no, I was quoting him.
That could be an Easter egg.
I don't think you do either, Popok.
I don't casually.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, I mean,
at least online.
I certainly don't do it on air. I don't do it on air.
Yeah,
but maybe that's Easter eggs when people want to join us for Unprecedented, our show. they can like, I wonder if this will be the day Popok or Dina first. Maybe. So
I
why
think
don't we?
it's ingrained in my legal
Yeah,
training.
yeah. While I have you, John Liccione said he's become a paid subscriber now that he's heard us. Thanks. Yeah, there are people here that are new. There's a lot of people that repeat in our audience that come back. Take a moment. You have a Substack too, Dina. Take a
Yes, I do.
take a
Trying
moment.
to grow it.
You'll see Dina's name and my name up at the top, depending upon where you came from. Subscribe to Dina Dahl's Substack. Do the same here at Legal AF. If you become a regular member, you get to comment, and we read the comments and respond to them. And if you get the video when this becomes a video in about an hour. If you become a paid member, then you give us the resources on Legal AF to grow. And so we got the annual membership. I think it's like six or $7 a month. You see the content. Dina's writing essays. I'm writing essays.
Yeah.
Court accountability actions up there. Adam Klasfeld's up there. The American Civil Liberties Union just joined us on Legal AF for regular reporting. I have one I'm doing later today with somebody there. We just had Governor Shapiro. I interviewed yesterday. So think about being a fervent supporter of this community.
Yes. No, so grateful for the support of Substack. It's really cool to be able to I really want to have a conversation with people, and that's a great format to be able to do it. To me, whenever somebody says I went to an event with a senator uh, in the fall, and he was saying how he didn't go on social media because it was toxic. And I'm like, if you don't go on social media, you don't get a chance to have a conversation with people.
Yeah.
To me, polling should be extinct. You can make a post and find out exactly what people think. So I love that Substack is even more so that. So yes, anybody love any subscribers? Yeah, I was working on an article to collab with Legal AF actually while I was waiting for this
Yeah.
live. So
All right.
there'll be another one coming out soon.
Why don't we do a quick? Somebody asked Dina, please explain the FACE Act law. You know what that
Mhm.
refers to?
Yeah, so the FACE Act one is there's certain locations where you are not able you specifically don't have a First Amendment right. And it was things such as abortion clinics, things such as worshipers, and they're probably asking that question because the uh the um the news surrounding Don Lemon was including the FACE Act. So that is, because of we already have like constitutional First Amendment, and you already have trespass laws. And was just really enshrining specifically having to do with those locations. And I think Biden did prosecute some people under the FACE Act for going onto abortion clinic spaces.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's good because there seemed to be a little bit of a thing that broke out in the chat about it. And I'm glad that you brought that in. So here, I try to keep this to about 30 minutes. We're over 30 minutes. But why don't you just give your overview of what happened at the Supreme Court in the last couple of days as a little bit of a teaser for us doing it on an unprecedented more detail.
Yes, I know. And I was fun with the Jack Smith. I was almost thinking you
Yeah.
were going to ask me about the Jack Smith thing too. I think that you and I were not surprised. We gave a preview for anybody who watched us last week. This Heritage Foundation Supreme Court doesn't care about our civil liberties, but they sure as heck care about the money. They are going to protect the Federal Reserve from Trump. And in a way that I think they're also going to rule against him for the tariffs. At the end of the day, they understand that having the Federal Reserve be at the whim of somebody like Trump is dangerous. They will legally get to that point because, as you know, as we've talked about, they find what they want to do and then they legally get to that point. They're going to legally get to that point because honestly, the Trump position was like nonsense. They said, yes, cause exists, but basically Trump and his sole decision can decide what cause is, which you and I know that's not actually true. If something is for cause, it's reviewable. You have due process because how do you determine what's cause and not cause? Essentially asking the Supreme Court to allow for a standard of cause that really was at will. I do not think they are going to succeed at the Supreme Court. Kavanaugh, who was so willing to throw females under the bus for Dobbs, was sticking up for the finance market of the world. But you know what? That's a good thing too. Anytime they're willing to stand up for Trump, fine. I'm happy about it. It's just they need to stand up for the rest of us too. So
Yeah.
that was my thoughts on that.
Dina's freezing up, but not Popok. Yeah, sometimes you
Oh,
have this, you something about California and Wi-Fi. Ben has this problem all the time. I don't know what it
really?
is. Yeah,
Uh, too
yes.
much fresh air.
He had a we were doing our podcast last Saturday. He had to leave and go drive to his office
Ben,
because
too
the
bad.
Wi-Fi is so bad. But
I mean, I have put on so many routers in my home. I have had tech people come. I don't even know anymore. Anybody has any suggestion? But yeah,
yeah,
maybe I need to switch my Wi-Fi provider altogether.
yeah,
We'll see.
yeah.
TBD.
So
TBD.
for those that joined late, we were talking about the Lisa Cook case, and it looks like I don't know if it's going to be 7-2, 8-1, 9-0 against Donald Trump,
Mhm.
and keeping her in her seat until the trial court judge continues to develop the record below. And there's really going to be two major issues that need to be developed by the lower court with the instructions by the Supreme Court. One, what is the shape of due process? The Supreme Court's going to say what the due process is before somebody can lose their job at the Federal Reserve Board of Governors. What does that look like? What kind of hearing is that? Who administers it? What is it? A federal court hearing? Is it some other hearing? And then second, that's going to be that part of due process. And then with some instructions about what is for cause, because that's the way he can fire somebody. It has to be for cause. They rejected completely John Sauer's argument that cause is anything the president
Yeah.
says. Anything the president says it is. That's
So
not
ridiculous.
that's not
No.
and,
No.
and nobody bought that, and everybody was
Yeah.
sort of annoyed by it,
Mhm.
including the MAGA six. When you hear Kavanaugh, Gorsuch, Amy Coney Barrett,
Yeah.
and John Roberts all universally slamming in their own way John Sauer, it's done, it's dead. But I think they send it back to Judge Gia Cobb, who's a Biden appointee in Washington, and to get the case back, restart the case. She'll hold a status conference and she'll set this thing up.
Mhm.
She already entered a preliminary injunction in Lisa Cook's favor, but now she's got to develop the record with the new instructions from the Supreme Court. But in the meantime, I don't think Lisa Cook's going anywhere in any time soon. If it comes back to the Supreme Court, I don't think they're going to let it come back on an emergency basis once the judge does her job. And in the meantime, you got, Jay Powell, Dark Jay. I
Mhm.
love Dark Jay, like Dark Brandon, shows up at the Supreme Court for the oral argument, sitting in the first row, you
Good
know?
for him.
But
Yeah.
then, Donald Trump's already moved on. We come on to this Substack live, and I'll cover it more tonight with a $5 billion lawsuit against Jamie Dimon and
Mhm.
J.P. Morgan Chase, because Donald Trump doesn't like the fact that J.P. Morgan Chase was suspicious about an $8 million payment that came off from an offshore account through Russian connections into Truth Social, and decided to send. They didn't debank him because of the Jan 6th. They debanked him because of this nefarious connection between Russian money, Putin, Truth Social, and a whistleblower. I've actually had the whistleblower's lawyer
Mm.
on with me to talk about it. That's the reason when stupid Trump is going to force Jamie Dimon in this lawsuit and JP Morgan Chase to blow open wide this Russian conspiracy involving True Social. Good job, Trump.
Yeah, and I think these banks, after what they did with Epstein and how much they hid those transactions, are hopefully on notice and
Yeah.
maybe why they are willing to actually kind of flag these things at this point. Just wanted to do a shout out to John. He may have solved my Wi-Fi issue.
Who's John? Your husband?
No, that
Who's
in the
John?
chat.
Oh,
Greg is my
I
husband.
met your
No, no,
husband.
no.
He's
But
not named John.
he was like, okay,
Poor Greg.
I should do hardwire of it. And then Gigi was right. I do have Spectrum. I
Oh,
was just
what?
responding to the comments, but it was a
Oh,
good idea. I'm gonna try to
I
hardwire it.
thought you got rid of Greg. I was like, who's John? Was just like your side gig?
I
Your
don't,
side
Greg is
side
also a
piece?
lawyer. He's not so techie either.
Well, it's true. But then Ben tried the same thing. It didn't work. It hasn't.
Yeah.
Anyway, you guys are all here with us. I don't want to abuse your time. I'll be back at 7:45 Eastern time tonight with a catch up of the wrap up of everything today, including the Jack Smith. So glad that Dina Dahl, close friend of mine, my colleague on Unprecedented, our show. All you got to do is go over to podcast platforms of your choice, plug in Unprecedented, boom, photo of me and Dina Dahl, who a lot of people says look like Diane Cannon today. I saw that in the
Cannon.
notes. That's a compliment. I never get that.
I know.
So we
I'll
have
take it. I'll take it.
not Diane Cannon, it's Dina Dahl. Dina Dahl and me, unprecedented, and of course it's up on Legal AF YouTube channel too, if you want to watch it on YouTube. So glad that you're here, and you can find us. There's a whole playlist of all our unprecedenteds, and of course we'll be doing the new show tomorrow. Take a moment, hit the subscribe button. If you can swing paid subscription, even better. If you're not subscribed to Dina Dahl, let's do that. And I'll get more details about Don Lemon. I try to get him on the show. I think he's busy right now.
Yeah,
and we
I'm
will
sure.
and we will report. So until then, thanks, Dina, for joining me last minute.
Of
And
course.
shout out to our audience. Appreciate and all the love and comments that we've seen today. I'll see you later tonight. I'm Michael Popok with Dina Dahl.